I've been doing this for a long, long time, but not as Apis arborea, but the organization was called Gaia Bees. It was really a 15-year time of evolution and deep learning. And during this time, we were just looking for ways to biomimic the way bees had lived for millions of years. Without doing much research or hearing stories, everybody knows bees live in trees. And that was our guiding principle. So I started my relationship with bees with conventional hive boxes. But right from the get-go, something didn't feel right. Very soon after that, I became very interested in alternative hive styles. I was a co-founder of a honeybee sanctuary here in Sonoma County, and we developed a new programming there that led us to a deep curiosity about natural nest habitat of honeybees. And we thought, oh, how about we mimic that nest habitat by just hollowing out tree stumps? And that was kind of a fundamental shift in my relationship and my work with honeybees. Conventional bee boxes were invented when? 175 years ago or so, at the peak of the Industrial Revolution. The underlying culture was that of thinking in terms of mechanics. It was the bee boxes that we are still using today were not designed with the well-being of bees in mind. This was about mechanics, and it came from a place of soul blindness. If we don't see that soul, that agency in a non-human, and design something for that being, we come up with a system that is detrimental to the well-being of this being. The problem in conventional bee boxes is multifold. It starts out with that all of a sudden this design introduces artificial planes, artificial frames in that nest environment. It forces bees to not only to build comb in straight lines, it forces them to build larger cell sizes that are unnatural. It doesn't give room for drones to be reared. The other one is that those hive boxes are thin-walled, and by forcing them into a nest environment that is completely insufficiently insulated, it puts them in a permanent stress position, because now it forces them to increase their foraging activity up to 10-fold, because they're losing so much energy for staying warm that they need more nectar, more pollen. So that design is not really made for honeybees. I would say over the last 16-something years, people are tracking die-offs in the commercial realm of honeybees. And they have been climbing ever since, when it was maybe 16-20%, all of a sudden it was 30, then it was 40, we got to 50%. We're talking about annual losses. And now the winter 2024-25, something shifted dramatically. Commercial beekeepers would go back to the apiaries, and they would go from one apiary to the next, only to see that most of the bees had died. Current numbers, and it's still all in flux, are about 70 to 80, if not sometimes 100% of those commercial bees have died since June of 2024. It is literally a catastrophic event, a catastrophic die-off that leads people to wonder whether we have to be concerned for food security and even national security. It is this artificial system that is falling apart, that is imploding through the death of probably trillions of individual bees. So the million-dollar question is, why are they dying? The way people talk about it, I want to refer to this as a narrative, as a story that has been told over and over and over again. I want to quote some of those. Loss of habitat, inferior nutrition, pesticides exposure, and then everybody is blaming this parasite, this ectoparasite called the varroa mite. Everybody points to the mite and says, that is the culprit, that is why. But in that story, there's no place given for the industry itself. The commercial beacon industry is a huge factor that contributes to the high die-offs of honeybees. But it's not talked about because no one wants to challenge the system. I remember to this day when the first bees had moved into that very first log hive, and I opened it up and I saw something I didn't recognize. It was just the environment in which all of a sudden we could perceive them gave us no other choice but to reevaluate everything. Or in other words, it was so striking to see them in their natural element, for me, for the very first time. So that kind of kindled a completely new curiosity. It opened up an entire new field to explore. Saboria, our main focus is on studying and learning from free living bees. And in doing so, we identify the dynamic environments or the factors that lead to their resilience and high levels of health. And the next exciting step is to figure out how can we take all of this and create new models of apiculture, new models for pollination services, new models for backyard beekeeping, new models for nest and hive design and all of that. That's basically what it is. We are going back into the wild and using biomimicry and see how can we use and apply biomimicry to cultivated spheres. I think what we call wilding is essential for the survival of the species. It is an attempt at modeling a completely new pathway that is in sync with deeper ecologies, that is in sync with intrinsic values and birthrights, that is in sync with the wisdom of the wild. And it suggests a completely new paradigm of being on Earth. Wilding is very important to me on a personal level, and it makes me tear up, actually. It holds something that is so fundamentally essential to survival to so many species, that my biggest hope is that it can really serve in that way. And I feel how much is at stake right now as we are in multiple crises, which we all know and feel. And I think wilding is for me one personal entryway into an attempt to do something to be helpful.